The story for Man-Made, A Stupid Quest for Masculinity is, for fans of reading or keeping things in your house that makes other people think you're a fan of reading, Man-Made is Time humor columnist Joel Stein's first book, an idiotic attempt to acquire as many manly skills as possible in order to be a dad to his newborn son. The smudge looks suspiciously penis-like, the doctor confirmed. That's the baby's penis, which caused not celebration, but panic. Joel pictured having to go camping and fix a car, and use a hammer and throw a football and watch professionals throw footballs, and figure out whether to be sad or happy about the results of said football throwing. So begins his quest to confront his effete nature, whether he likes it or not. He doesn't. By doing a 24-hour shift with LA firefighters, going hunting, rebuilding a house, driving a Lamborghini, enduring 3 days of boot camp with the U.S. Army, trading with $100,000, and going into the ring with UFC Hall of Famer Randy Couture. Seeking help from a panel of experts, including his manly father-in-law, Boy Scouts, former NFL star Warren Sapp, former MLB star Sean Green, Adam Carolla, and a pit bull named Hercules. He expects to learn that masculinity is defined not by the size of his muscles, but the size of his heart, also technically a muscle. This is not at all what he learns. Now, this book, yes, is talking about various different things that we all consider masculine, particularly old school masculinity. And even though he goes through these different man experiences, like he said, he trades, he fights, he hunts, he plays sports, and this and that. These are all classic masculinities, and even though he goes through these different things, you kind of feel connected to it in a very, either cathartic or just you sympathize with everything he goes through. And when reading this, he is very, very humorous, I must say. And when he's going through these classic forms of masculinity, although yes, I connected with him on the things he did it, but I kind of felt like he is just going through just the classic versions of masculinity, because I felt like masculinity has changed over time. And especially since masculinity means something different to each individual person. And even though, yes, like I said, everything goes through is funny, you can connect with it very well and just sympathize or just, flat out be like, yeah, this is me all the time, which is what I went through a lot of the times reading this. I felt so connected with him on a lot of different things. He kind of learns at the very end in the conclusion chapter what I was talking about, that masculinity is different for everybody, and he comes to a conclusion that everybody, doesn't matter from past, present, or future of how masculinity is or who interprets masculinity to be what or how you are, you can very much understand him and very much connect with his conclusion and understand it and believe it to be true. And his conclusion is, like I said, very much what I had in line, and I don't want to ruin it for you because I want you to read the book and go through his experience as well, because that experience is needed to understand the conclusion as well, especially how he comes to it. And it's a beautiful end, and like I said, the conclusion just levels the playing field. And it's like, what I went through is not what I really thought masculinity was. But it is really good, and every experience he goes through is just fucking hilarious. I mean, oh my god. Some are just haha funny, some are really funny. But it's kind of interesting how he analyzes the different forms of masculinity, from driving cars, to fighting, to playing sports, baseball. Even just discovering that he's going to have a son is very understandable, and I would be in the exact same situation if I ever found out I was going to have a son. I'd be like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Because I, very much like him, am a pussy. I really don't get into conflicts. I really don't do masculine things. When I watch the Super Bowl, I'm mostly there from the food and the commercials, but the commercials haven't been that great in years. But yeah, I really don't care for sports much like him, but it's interesting to see him analyze it, find some, because there is some fun things to look at sports, and it's kind of interesting to see him learn that as well and really question his masculinity. In fact, even one time that I really connected with, I was so surprised with how I connected with this. I'm like, yeah, that is really me, was when his wife comes home crying one day, and she talks about how she was coming up to their cul-de-sac and this other driver cut her off and almost actually hit her. They stopped and she really got in his face, but he was really threatening. Like, he really got in her face, like she was gonna punch her, like really hurt her. And then he drove off, and then she went home and told him everything. And although he failed, he was supposed to comfort her, but he started questioning her, like, why'd you do that? You have a son and this, blah, blah, blah. Well, which I could, admittedly, I'd probably do the same thing, but reading it here, I probably would never do that again. But he eventually finds out that person, just got out of prison and this and that. The guy eventually moves out, but he kind of has this moment, which I really connected with, was he felt regret for not standing up for his wife. Because like me, he doesn't get into conflicts and he doesn't want to start a fight, but he felt really regretful he didn't punch the guy. And I understand that completely. It's like, even though we try to be higher than our primal selves, we try to be a higher society, we try to be gentlemen, we try to be something better than ourselves from the last day, we try so much to be more civilized, that our basic instincts haunt us. Our basic instincts just make us feel guilt, and it's just maddening. And I so connected with that. It was like, wow. But overall, this entire book is great. It's great. It's like great for humor. It's great for connectivity, to understand your masculinity. Because like I said, everybody has their own interpretations of masculinity. Every generation, masculinity changes. And this is something, especially if you're questioning your masculinity. There was a time when I questioned mine at times, not like sexual orientation or something, but just what kind of a man I am, And this very much helped a lot with that. And although I didn't really care about my masculinity, this kind of book just helped me put everything into perspective, really. And I really appreciated that. And I'm pretty sure many people out there would appreciate that as well. And especially if you have a lot of fear of having kids, although he doesn't talk about parenting much at all, but he does talk about, the fear of having a son, and, what kind of a father I should be. This book is definitely for that. And it's also something that will definitely make you laugh along the way, which is very much needed, because that is cathartically, lets off steam. I wanted to give this book a 3 stars, but when you read more and more into it, you kind of, especially with the experiences he goes through and stuff, it earns more points along the way. And I kind of feel like this book deserves like 5 stars out of 5, because especially towards the end, like I said, with the conclusion, everything gets put into perspective and all of that. So it really, something, it deserves a lot more than I think people appreciate or even notice. So I give this book 5 stars out of 5. I highly recommend it. It is hilarious. It has some good thought-provoking moments, some things to think about at the end of every chapter. Even at the end of the book, it gives you something to really think about. And, very hopeful for him and his family, and also just hope for oneself after reading it. All right. And I hope you enjoyed this review. Pretty sure you can find this at your local bookstore everywhere. I just recently found out it's on iTunes, an audiobook read by the author, so I'm going to enjoy re-listening to this book, because I did really enjoy it. So you'll have a lovely, lovely day. Thank you for watching. Bye.